I can't wait to find out what the mountains are made of. I'm pretty sure it's really for new members, because actually yesterday was like the day that we Hello.
Hello. Hi.
What a great sweater.
Oh, thank you.
The front row. Oh, in the back, is this a good volume?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Happy birthday, Arcadia. Yeah. All right. So nice to see you all here. Thanks so much for coming out. I'm Jonah. If you folks haven't met me, I'm Jonah. I'm the director here. And if you haven't met me, come chat with me afterwards. I'd love to meet you and talk with you. A lot of familiar faces here, though. Really nice to see so many folks here that are part of the Arcadia community and have been for years. So thanks so much, everyone, for coming out. So, what we're going to do, first of all, this is a birthday party, so not a lot of birthday parties have PowerPoints, but this one does. But remember that it's a birthday party throughout the PowerPoint, so feel free to cheer if you want to cheer, or ask questions, or add comments. There are a few slides in here. So what this presentation is it's a little different than ones we've done before. I really wanted to focus on the question of so what? What's the big deal? We do all these different things. We know that we do a bunch of different cool things around here, but so what? So we have some slides that are come up occasionally that are going to say so what, and when that happens, I'd love you all to say so what? Exactly. Great. Okay, that's good. You guys are ready. So this is far from a all-inclusive. This is a real kind of overview of the work that we do and a little bit of history, but really focused on the question of so what and why are we so why are we doing this? Any initial questions that folks have? All right. Yeah, that's the meadows. I know. We have some lovely photos that folks take and share with us. We're really lucky. So. A couple notes too. After this, we're gonna have lots of time to mingle. There's a piano right here. If you didn't notice this, someone's gonna come and play this piano, give us a little music to make this feel even more festive. There'll be snacks. There's a beautiful birthday cake back there, donated by Big E's. And then out in the lobby, there's a wish-making area. So if you're interested in a little art, or you can just use words and make some wishes for the future of Arcadia. We're thinking about the past 75 years and also the future and where we're headed from here. So with that, we'll dim some lights. Remember that it's a party. Put those, in the back. There's, okay. All right, here's Arcadia. So let's start off with just a little intro, basics for some people, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Some people said it's their first time here. For some folks, it's their first time here. Some people have been here since the 60s, so it's a wide range. So we're here, and all these numbers, this is the network of Mass Audubon wildlife sanctuaries around the state. So we're a part of this large network, which is a really cool thing. It's interesting for me. So this is a little sidebar. This is my 5th anniversary, which we're not here to celebrate, but it's a nice anniversary as well for me personally. And over my 5 years here, I've heard a lot of mixed things from our community about this fact that we're a part of this larger organization. Some people are really excited about it, and some people particularly are really, we're a local Pioneer Valley focused community. And we question folks who are not from around here. And so some people maybe are concerned about our larger connection with Mass Audubon. But overall, this is really a very positive thing for us. It's a real benefit for us to be a part of this larger organization. And Mass Audubon has this incredible history, incredible resources, knowledgeable people, and provides a lot for us to help us do what we do here. So, a little bit of history. Mass Audubon, this was the fashion. Right? Anybody remember this fashion? Anybody old enough to Okay, no, okay. So this was a while ago, but this was the fashion of the time. It's a lot of the bird on women's hats. And so some women got together and decided that they wanted to stop this fashion trend that was killing all these birds. And this woman on the right is one of the founders of Mass Audubon, Harriet Hemingway, and her cousin. They decided to form Massachusetts Audubon Society to work to prevent the killing of these birds. So what's really exciting about this, being a part of this history, is these women, it was very grassroots. They got together, they had parties, they got their friends together, and they advocated for this change. And not only did they help locally, but they helped nationally to create the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918. I looked to Judy to help me out. So that's a huge act, 100 years old, protecting birds all over the country, has huge significance, and our predecessors helped to make that happen. So that's, I think, for me, that's a really neat part of our history, is that we have this real grassroots background. And when I was putting this together, I looked at this picture, and I was like, that, you look at paintings sometimes, and they just don't seem real. I was like, that's a real person. Right? Like that's a real woman who was posing for a moment like that, and she said, does my hair look okay, or whatever she happened to say. But like, she's a real person who was like, oh yeah, I need to make a difference. And she took action and made a difference, and so I think that's really neat. So another key person in our history over here, some sadness to our origins at Arcadia. This is who Arcadia is in memory of. This is Robert Searle Chaffee. He committed suicide he was in his 20s. He was a member of the Chaffee family of Rhode Island and Eastern Mass, the famous Chaffee family. They wanted to do something to memorialize him. He was a big nature lover. And Mass Audubon had gotten into the business of starting to protect land as well, and realized it's important to protect habitat, not just to advocate for the policies, but to protect habitat. And they had come across this land here in the Pioneer Valley, about 140 acres along the Mill River, that they wanted to make a wildlife sanctuary. And they publicized that in their newsletter, and they said, hey, we need help making this happen. And the Chaffees saw that and helped to make this first Western wildlife sanctuary in 1944. So it's in memory of one of the Chaffees, and from there we've really come a long way, and we'll talk about that now. So we don't have a date on this, but this is where we're currently sitting in the building right here. It's not there when this was taken. This is the farmhouse that you see when you drive in our driveway. So it's neat to look at this. I can spend some time looking at this and all the differences from now. So the visitor center is here. Here's Old Springfield Road heading out to the meadows. If you walk our trails, you head out. Here's what we call the maze now. There's the orchard, looking much more orchardly out there. You can just see how open all of this is. If you head out Old Coach, which is the trail behind the visitor center, look how open it is back over here. And something that's interesting for me is looking along Clapp Street here. This is what it is now. So you see, development pressure, of course, is always something that we're thinking about. And I wonder, when I look at this, what might this have looked like if we hadn't protected it? What kind of development might have pushed into this area, which is a really important habitat to protect. So this is a little bit of what it looked like back then. So for 75 years, we've been doing a lot of the same stuff that we do right now. So this is, we don't have dates on some of these pictures, but you can see there's some old cars. So this is a while ago, and they're bringing people together, right? Bringing people together around food and around nature, around community. So that's a big part of what we do now, and is what we've been doing for 75 years, bringing people together, bringing the community together around nature. We've been educating. So this is from 1948. We do have the age on this one. So for 75 years, school kids have been coming out here. We've been going to schools and connecting kids with nature. That's pretty neat. We've been doing a lot more than just school kids as well. This is just some negatives. We didn't have the photos of, but this is from Focus Outdoors, which was, how many folks here went to Focus Outdoors? Yeah, great. No, this hasn't happened since the 80s, 90s? 80s then? Yeah. So this happened for quite a while. It's an incredible program. Right? We didn't have space for it here. It happened at Mount Holyoke. It was a huge program. People came from all over. I'm taking it back. Late 60s. Yeah. Late 60s until the 80s. Yeah, great. So it ran for quite a while, incredible program. People came from all over to learn about various things about nature, and lots of well-known speakers. And it was a really neat program, all run from Arcadia here. People have been coming here for these 75 years just to get outside and experience nature, right? It's not necessarily all about learning all the time. Some of it's just getting out and being outside and being with nature. And a lot of people have been coming here for a long time to do that. So here's another angle looking up our driveway. There's the farmhouse. There's where the visitor center is going to be built. So you can see this is a little bit later than the last one. This, we call our crescent planting, was planted. So we had taken ownership. So 1944 is when we got this original parcel of 140 acres. This, which we all think of as Arcadia now, didn't come along for another 9 years to be a part of the sanctuary. So this is at least 9 years later, we planted this crescent planting here. Something I think to note here, you'll see some smoke. Folks know what that is back there? That's the dump. The dump, right? Yeah. So that's the old dump where they would light the trash on fire and burn it down. And I put this slide in here because something else we've been doing for years is advocating for change and for environmental policies. And Arcadia had a really strong role in shutting that down, changing that practice. Roby and Judy, the folks that were here back in those days, played a big role in that. So we've been doing that for 75 years as well, working to have a really strong impact in the community about making these changes. So there's way too many people that have been involved for 75 years to put them up here. I wanted to put a few up just to sort of represent categories of people. In this, I wanted to represent the category of some of the staff that have worked here. Anybody recognize people in here? Judy can't answer this question. Any others? John, of course, does. Yeah. Who do you see up here? Roby. We got Roby Hubley, who was the director here for many years. Anybody else recognize somebody?
Alan and Mary Mueller right in the middle.
This is the old president of Mass Audubon? No.
That's
Alan. Alan Morgan, old president. Who's this?
That's Alan Mueller.
Alan Mueller.
Wife Mary next to him.
All right. And then this here's Judy.
Yeah.
Seated here. This picture's from 1970. And the reason they have shovels is because they're about to break ground for this building. So they worked to build this visitor center in 1970.
Bessie Boyd is in there also. She's in there.
Bessie Boyd.
This one?
Yeah.
My teacher.
Yeah, so this illustrates a lot of people, some of our local staff, our Mass Audubon staff, our community, that were all involved in making these buildings happen. So that's pretty cool. Some other staff, and so this is much more recent. It's in black and white. They had color at this. This is from 2000. But this is just to demonstrate, well, more staff, more volunteers. The director, Mary, at the time. Judy was the regional director. Stephen, you all recognize other volunteers who are in the room here. This is celebrating the new all-persons trail back then. So this is just really to recognize the fact that we have the new building, we have these improvements on the building, we have lots of people involved all along the way to make it happen. Anybody recognize somebody in here? Yeah, well, here's Roby over here, but harder to see. We'll zoom in a little bit. John's going to be here later. He's not here yet, but for folks that know John Green, that's John Green. We have to talk to him about those sideburns. It's definitely from the 70s. But so a lot of staff have been involved here for a long time, and this is just one example. John was actually brought up here from Pennsylvania. He was attracted here because of Focus Outdoors, the program that Arcadia was running, brought John Green to the Pioneer Valley, and now he's a well-known educator. Oh, there's a good-looking young fellow, John Bowe. So this is 1977. I was 2. And John Bowe is still volunteering here. So John Bowe is here, and he volunteers here, and he does about as much as I do around here. He's here all the time and takes care of the property and does a ton. But this is one to celebrate John, but to celebrate all of our volunteers that have been here. We have so many volunteers that have been here for many years and done so much to make all of our work possible. It's just not even, it's hard to imagine what this place would be without the volunteers. It would be very, very small, much less impact. Anybody recognize folks up here?
Fred Morrison.
Yeah, Fred Morrison, Lori Sanders, some folks may know. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody over here? Ted Watt over here. So I put this up, these are folks that are pretty well known in the Valley and have a big impact. They're not here anymore, but they worked at Arcadia and now they're out doing other great things. Lori and Fred, who met here, are married now. Ted Watt, who's just fabulous environmental educator over at the Hitchcock Center now. But all folks that worked here along the way.
So what?
Yeah, oh, I'm glad you asked. Thank you. So, yeah, so we've been here a long time, right? So that's great. A lot of great people have been a part of it. That's great, good. But so what? So I think one of the important things to note is that when you're here for 75 years, you impact a lot of people. You have a lot of reach. And I think that's really an important so what of our history. But another key so what is the innovation that's happened here and stuff that we've started here that's then really taken off. So this 140 acres that is along the Mill River and extends out there, this 140 acres, that's the first land to be protected for conservation in the city of Northampton. One note of clarification, people are confused. They know our mailing address is East Hampton. This is the town line. So we're currently in East Hampton over here in the visitor center, but Northampton's right over here. So much of Arcadia is in Northampton. And that 140 acres is the very first land to be protected. Now a quarter of the land in Northampton is protected. So this sort of started off this trend of working towards protection for conservation reasons. Our summer camp is the first across the state. So this has been going for all 75 years of Arcadia, our summer camp. Any folks here been to our summer camp? As a participant, just curious, chance. You bump into people all the time. Yeah?
Way back.
Tom, what year do you think?
It would have been, let's see, if I was 8, I was born in 41, it would be 49.
1949 camper, Arcadia camper right here. Wonderful. So first Mass Audubon camp. Mass Audubon now has camps all over. Actually, I wrote down here. Don't look at my notes very much. 11,000 campers this year across the state. So that's a pretty big impact that we've had across the state. Started here, our first summer camp. Our first nature preschool for Mass Audubon, the first nature preschool in Massachusetts, one of the first nature preschools in the country started right here at Arcadia. 1976, Paul here, graduate of an early class, has since sent his daughter to our preschool and to camp. And he pays for Tom Riccardi to come every year and present live birds to the preschool every year. So this is a tremendous program. We'll mention a bit more later. But this has really taken off. This is not well beyond Mass Audubon, right? The idea of getting young kids involved with nature early is really taken off, and we're well ahead of the game here. This is much more recent, but who knows? Maybe we'll look back on this and say, "Wow, this was the beginning of something big." But we're Mass Audubon's first climate action center, and now there are a few others across the state, and hopefully there'll be more, and we'll talk more about that in a second. So that's some of the so what. Is we've started some things here that have really taken off and had this incredible impact well beyond what we even intended for them to do here at Arcadia. Let's talk a bit about the land. So here we are. This is blue line is Arcadia. This is Northampton, East Hampton, the Connecticut River here. One thing that's really neat about the land is we are tucked right in the valley, right? This is a big chunk of land right up against downtown Northampton, sort of a lot of people see as the heart of the Pioneer Valley. We're right in the middle of it all. That's pretty cool, right? To have this incredible protected land right here in this hub, 91 right along the edge, East Hampton booming down here now, and we're protecting land right there for 75 years. that's pretty neat. Let's zoom in a little bit. That original 140 acres was along the Mill River. So that was the 140 that started this off. Over the last 75 years, we've now protected over 800 acres around that 140. So that 800 plus acres includes this crazy blue line, outline. It also includes some land over here that we've protected in the last few years, now called the Rocky Hill Greenway. We protected with the city. This is an incredible story, which, do I have a picture? Oh no, first let's take a little tour. So it's cold outside, we're not going to get out all around. So this is just a little tour of what it looks like around Arcadia. The grasslands, incredible expanse, one of the nicest stretches of grasslands in Mass Audubon's collection. Mass Audubon has 30,000 plus acres around the state, and this is some of our nicest grassland that we have in the state. Forests, beautiful forests, walk through the trails, mature forests and floodplain forests. The Mill River, how many folks have been out on canoe or kayak in the Mill River? Yeah, awesome. If you haven't, I highly recommend it. It's really spectacular. These silver maples arching over the stream. It's really, really beautiful. The wetlands, this is from the observation tower, but we have all sorts of marsh and wetlands, so there's just diversity of habitat out there, just an incredible 800 plus acres to go spend some time on. I love to show this image, even though people are like, why are you showing this image? This isn't fun. This is numbers. So this is our map of all the parcels of Arcadia. So this right here is the 140 acres that we started with. So our visitor center's down here. And all of these are separate parcels that we've had to protect over 75 years. So each one of those is a story of getting to know landowners, making offers, fundraising. Each one of those is, years of work often to make happen. And it's been pretty much an active job for 75 years. Kate is here in the back. That's her current job right now, is working to protect more land. So you'll notice some gaps in color. This is white and white and white and white. Those are areas that we don't currently own. So it's a work in progress. We're still hoping to protect more land around Arcadia. So, yeah, we protected a lot of land. That's great. What's going on there? A lot of it's habitat. So you look at this. This is 800 acres or so here. If you look at that 800 acres from above out in the hill towns, you would mostly see, it would look like that, which is great. Huge amounts of intact forest. That's wonderful. But you notice here is a lot of diversity, right? There's a lot going on. This here is the ancient oxbow of the Connecticut River. You see the oxbow that we all know. Connecticut River here, the oxbow that we all know. There's the ancient oxbow. So that provides some really interesting habitat, marsh, wetland areas. All of this open area that we maintain for grassland birds. You'll see some cutting of trees along here because we maintain young forest there for birds that need young forest. And then the corridor. So we're working on connecting land. So the reason we're protecting this with the city is we're interested in animals moving through the landscape. So we're protecting habitat and corridors for animals to move through the landscape.
So what?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking that. So there's a few different so whats. This is pretty big. I think a lot of people know when you ask them what's one of the big things, what's most important about the work we do, a lot of people say land. Protecting land. A lot of people realize the importance of that. But I want to talk about the so what of it, because it's really important. One, for climate, it's huge, and there's a few different reasons it's huge. One, protecting open space, trees, sequestering carbon, storing carbon so it's not in the atmosphere, that's huge. Two, this area, we protect a lot of floodplain. So when we're thinking about our future weather and severe storms that are going to be coming, we need a place for this water to go so it doesn't have as big an impact on us. And protecting places like this is a big part of that. So that's another big part of the climate reason for protecting this land. Wildlife, I think, I don't know, I'm really sentimental. Maybe it's because I'm a relatively new dad, or I don't know what it is, but I think about the individuals more than just the population sometimes. But this bobolink flew to the middle of South America and then it flew all the way back up here for the summer, and it's gonna fly all the way back down there. So that's a 12,000 mile round trip every year. And we provide, for this bobolink, a place for it to come for its summer after that 6,000 mile trip. It can come here to Arcadia, it can spend its summer, and it can eat and breed. And it's, to me, that's really amazing that we're working on that, right? That we're here to do that for this bobolink, to protect this grassland for them. I think that's pretty cool. A side note, a lot of my pictures are birds and other charismatic megafauna, but we are concerned about the diversity of life out there. The masses don't tend to be, so I don't like put pictures of insects as much in there, but we do care about it all. But this is, some of the pretty photos are other critters. So wildlife is that's a big part of this. Having a place for wildlife is a big part of the why. Yeah, so this is a short-eared owl, endangered in the state, and has been known to spend time at Arcadia in the winters. This is one that actually breeds further north, breeds up in Canada, and comes down here in the winter to spend some time. So there are many birds, plants, insects, mussels, others that are rare species here at Arcadia. Protecting this habitat is essential for their existence in the state. That's the level of importance. That's a big so what when we're talking about rare species, is having a place that these species can continue to exist. So this is a culvert. This is Route 10. And whoops, where are we going? Here we're going. Okay. So this bobcat is coming from Arcadia and going to the Rocky Hill Greenway that I mentioned, land that we just protected. What do you think? Gone. I don't know, maybe it's that sentimental part of me. The same thing happens when I see this. I'm like, that's a bobcat. We just saw it for a few seconds. It's out there right now. It's out there all the time with the rest of the bobcats and other animals. They're out there living their life. And to me, it's just really, you see them shaking their foot, and you have this connection. Yeah, that's what I would do too. I don't want to get my foot wet. You just have this connection with these creatures and realize how important it is for us to be protecting corridors like this that they can move through. Just think, oh yeah, we just protected this land over here that this bobcat's walking onto, that now that's going to be protected forever for this bobcat to walk through. But what's even more important to me is that the bobcat can thrive here and can reproduce here and can live a life that creates future bobcats. It's true, yeah. So people do build walkways and culverts, which we need to build in there. Yeah, because we don't want them getting their feet cold. So that's huge. Should we watch that again? It's like, this is what it's all about, right? That not only are they out there, but they have their families, right?
What time of day is it?
This is 6 down here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Halloween. So,
How old are the babies?
I don't know. Is anybody able to age them? Yeah, I'm not sure. Young. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. They're from that year, from 2018 for sure. Yeah. So, talk about. Oh yeah.
Is that under Route 10?
Yep. Yeah. So this is Route 10 over here. The dump is actually just on the other side of that. Yeah. So the dump that was on fire, it's no longer on fire thanks to Arcadia. That's where the bobcat's coming from. So to me, that's a huge so what. That's a big deal. Okay. Speaking of kids, here we go. education. So a lot of you are involved with our education work here. It's a huge part of what we do. A lot of what we spend our time on, a lot of our staff are focused on education. This is a big part of it, just getting the kids out here, right? A lot of these kids are kids that don't spend a lot of time in nature. We're more and more disconnected from nature as a society, and just this right here is such a big moment, right? They're coming off the bus and they're arriving at a wildlife sanctuary as a part of their program. That's really cool. Part of what we do throughout the year is getting school kids out here and us going to school kids and showing them nature around them. So getting out in their schoolyard and saying, hey, there's nature here too. Have a look under this log and you'll find nature out here as well. Our preschool and our camp, how many preschool and camp families do we have here? Like parents sent somebody here? Oh, nice, good, yeah, good number. So these are a huge part of our work here, and a big part of that is because of the contact hours, right? So we have a lot of time with these kids. These kids come and they're here, and they're learning, and they're in nature repeatedly day after day. And so they have a really strong connection that grows with them. It helps that we have tremendous people. Our preschool team is amazing, and this program is incredible. Just blows me away. This program is really incredible, getting these kids connected to nature at such a young age. In our camp program, a lot of people know us for our camp, which is great because it's a wonderful program. I want them to know the breadth of the work we do, but it's a great program to know us for. And what's neat about camp, or something we're working on now, is trying to get more low-income families out, trying to reach new populations. And so last year was our highest number of scholarships that we've given out. We're really excited about that. One of the scholarship kids up on Mount Tom said, so the older kids go out on adventures and they go out to Mount Tom, said, this is the best day of my life. And actually, I choke up a little bit every time because, I don't know, I think of it probably from the father perspective and just thinking this, one, it's heartbreaking that this kid doesn't have more opportunity to get out, but two, it's just wonderful that he appreciated it and was out there looking out at the view of Mount Tom and just saying, this is the best day, just really appreciating that. So to me, the more we can get kids, people of all ages, but especially kids out, people that they're drawn to their video games, get them away from their video games, get them out and experiencing nature, the better. And of course, the breadth of education work we do is tremendous. I think most folks here know that. This is the only picture of Patty. Patty is a key part of Arcadia and has been for a long time. But she's our education director. Here she is pointing out some herons to some folks. But the breadth of our education work is incredible. We do all sorts of things, reaching people of all ages, scout programs and senior programs and homeschool. We have art programs now, nature art programs, all of them designed to get people out and connected with nature.
So what?
Yeah, right. Yeah, so what? Exactly. Why so what? So all these education programs, reaching a lot of kids, that's great, and adults. There's two big so what's for me with our education work. One is, this is well beyond nature, the impact of this. More and more research is coming out and saying interaction with nature at all ages is hugely beneficial for us. This particular book, I put up the subtitle here, Why Nature Makes Us Happier, Healthier, and More Creative. People are finding that time in nature increases how well you do in school, it decreases depression, all sorts of things improve as you spend time in nature. So this isn't just about, oh, it's really important that folks know how to identify their trees and their mushrooms, right? That's a part of it. It's great that we can do that. But it's bigger than that. It's about getting people connected and improving our lives across our community. So that's a really big so what. And then the second part of that is where we're building connection, right? People love what they know. And we're trying to build these connections so that people have a stronger conservation ethic. They become advocates for environmental issues. Oh, okay, that's great. Everything's okay, that's fine. I was just concerned. I thought somebody was not okay. Okay, that's fine, Greg. You're fine. So, Gray's 2 or 2.5, yeah. So, building this conservation ethic, making people strong, concerned citizens that care for the environment, that are going to vote on environmental issues, that's another big outcome and a really big so what of why we're doing this. Okay. Third big area that I just want to touch on here is Climate Action Center, which we are, as we mentioned before. So this story was in the New York Times, this opinion piece was in the New York Times the first week of the year. And so the story of 2018 was climate change. The reason the story of 2018 was climate change is because we learned through a few different reports that our emissions, or carbon emissions, are increasing, and that our time to make drastic action is decreasing. And so those two things are not good. And so we're realizing this is very urgent, we need to take action. The subtitle to me is particularly important in thinking about future generations. Are they going to say, why were we spending time on other stuff? This seems really big. There's a time limit on it. We should really be focused on this. So that's a big question for me. So what are we doing here? One part of what we're doing is we're focused on leading by example and demonstrating how folks can reduce their carbon footprint. Our electricity now comes 100% from our solar on-site. We're producing more than we use here, so we're hoping to transition some of our current fossil fuel use to electricity that would then be produced by our solar panels. So that's a big part of our next steps here. The education work, we're doing a lot of great education work around climate. This is one of our youth climate summits, bringing high school students from around the valley together to make plans, to develop action plans for their schools. And then we're also going into schools. Schools are coming here, middle school and high school kids, coming to learn about climate science, climate action, how they can make a difference. And they're realizing, which is neat to see, we saw this at the Youth Summit, that it's on them as well. It's on all of us. But they, in these next few years, are going to be going to college. They're going to be deciding what to do with their lives, and they can really start to have a big impact on this issue. We're doing whatever we can, basically, at this point. So I put this slide up just to say we're trying a bunch of different stuff around climate, just to see how we can move the needle. We have a climate pledge on our website now, massaudubon.org/Arcadia Climate Pledge. We had radio commercials that we put out there. We had a video contest. We're going to do that again. So we're just trying different things we can do to try to move the needle, to get people informed, engaged, talking about climate, and taking action on climate. We're restoring a floodplain forest. I mentioned the importance of both forest and floodplain. Floodplain forest is very rare. We have some really nice examples of it here, and we have some areas that are really nice to be restored. So we're working on a project now with the state to bring back some floodplain forest, which we'll then use as an educational tool, and hopefully will happen elsewhere as well. This is a little bit of a confusing slide. This is a Yes On 2 campaign, which was a really big campaign that we did 4 years ago or so, that we lost miserably on, but we really worked hard for Yes On 2. And then I put carbon pricing down here because that's our next big charge, and Mass Audubon is just committed to carbon pricing as our top legislative priority for 2019. So we're starting to push hard on this, and the reason I put it up there with this Yes On 2 is because it needs to be a similar all-in. For Yes On 2, our email signatures said Yes On 2, we had lawn signs, everything was Yes On 2 branded. We need to be the same way with climate. If carbon pricing is what we're going for, great. Whatever it is, we need to be all in. And this is the next step for us here.
What is that?
So what?
Sorry. What is what?
Sorry, what is carbon pricing? I'm new to this.
Oh yeah, so carbon pricing is a way to try to control carbon emissions. So it's setting up a system that puts a price on carbon. There's a few different ways to do it out there, but it would be a law that would have a price per ton released of carbon that would then, everybody that emitted would have to pay a carbon tax. So there's a lot of nuance to different ways to make that work, and to make it not be tough on lower income people, which is a big concern with this, is trying to figure out how to make that not be a burden on the community. But there are solutions to that problem, and so that's the basic of it. Oh wait, what did you guys say? So what? Right. Yeah, so what? So this is a big deal, we're putting a lot into it, yeah, okay. Well, so I go back to the subtitle of that opinion piece. That's big for me. There he is, yeah. Yes, that's my son. So this is big, right? This is my kid, and he is gonna be, let's see, he's gonna be like 30 something in 2050, is sort of the first line that we're talking about of when things might get really bad. And we need to think about what's it gonna be for him? What are we leaving for him? And I know all of you have people like him in your lives, if it's your kids or your grandkids or your friends' kids. And this, to me, is what it's all about for climate change, but for all of it as well, right? This is why, for me personally, why we need to protect land, why we need to educate people and connect them to nature, and why we need to be all in on climate. So this, to me, is sort of the big so what that I hope and I assume most of you can relate to. Super cute. Okay, so that was a very quick synopsis of what we do around here and what we've been doing for 75 years. 75 years is a big deal. I'm excited about this. I'm using it as a time to be thankful, grateful for all of you and the many other people that have made Arcadia and gotten Arcadia to this point. It's pretty incredible the amount of people that have been involved to keep a nonprofit like this moving for 75 years. The number of volunteers and donors and staff and advocates that have made this happen. A lot of you in here have been a big part of that. So thank you all so much for that role that you've played. What we're doing this year to celebrate is we had a big music fest, so that was fun. So that was our kickoff to our 75th year, the Arcadia Folk Festival. And the culmination of our 75th year is going to be the second Arcadia Folk Festival, September 28th. That's going to be the finale of our year-long celebration of 75 years. We have our birthday party today, so thanks for being a part of that. And then we're going to have a few things in the spring and summer as well, still being developed, but we were doing something around camp, focused on camp families and remembering and celebrating the 75 years of camp work that's happened here. So thanks for being a part of this celebration year as well, and come on back September 28th. Put it in your calendars now. I should have taken, this is my one stock photo. Everything else up here was photos from Arcadia. This I put up because we didn't have our cake yet. Our cake is much cooler than this cake. Much cooler. But I put this up to say, so we're going to have cake, we're going to blow out candles, we're going to make a wish, but I thought I'd share our wish. Just in the risk of our wish not coming true, I'm going to share a couple Arcadia wishes with you, and if you could just hold them in your head when we blow out the candles so that we don't lose them, would be great. So we have three big wishes for Arcadia, for our way forward here after 75th anniversary, or part of our 75th. You guys remember all the snow? Haven't seen that. So we want to make our facilities fossil fuel free. I think this is important, one, just to reduce our own impact, but to show people how it's possible to do with older buildings. These buildings from 1970, like we said, it is possible to get off fossil fuels, and we want to show people how you can do that. So we want to switch over to heat pumps. Right now, the heat for this building and our other two outbuildings here are fossil fuel based, so we want to switch over to heat pumps, which are electricity run, and if we're producing our electricity on site to run those, then we're off. We're not letting any carbon out in the atmosphere. So that's a big goal for us. We also want to have a charging station for electric vehicles here. We think that's an important transition to have more places for people to charge. And to do both of those things, we have to upgrade our electrical system, which was not made for everything to be running on electricity, so we have to upgrade that system. So this is one of our wishes is to make this happen. Another wish is to continue to inspire nature heroes and to make more of them, as many as we can, to reach more kids. As many of you know, we've been on a nice trajectory recently. We've been adding some education team members. One thing we need is space. And so we're working on building a pavilion. Actually, over in that window, you can't see it right now, but when the lights come on, it's right on that little frame on the window ledge, is our work study student painted up an image of what it would look like if we had that pavilion out there. So have a look at that. But that'll expand our ability to have school groups here, have multiple groups here at the same time, and to reach more kids. We're also improving inside the next building over. We're improving our space to be able to accommodate a growing education team as well. And we want to get some more signs out, educate people who are just coming for a walk, have a chance for them to learn more passively. And then our third wish is to grow our Arcadia community. So here's our sanctuary committee, or part of our sanctuary committee. Now this is not at Arcadia either. We were on an outing in Conway. This is at Conway Hills, one of our other sanctuaries. So they're a key part of our Arcadia community. And we're looking to, we have this wonderful community, but we're very ambitious. We have a lot to do, and to do that, we need more people involved. And so we want to increase our membership and therefore our number of advocates, people that are out there pushing for our work to be successful. We want to increase the number of gifts and the amount of gifts we get. Our leadership friends is a group of people that give at a higher level every year to support our work. And we want to just raise awareness in general about our work, get the word out there. So this is a big goal for us. And I thought I'd mention a few key gifts sort of related to our wishes that have happened recently. So just to let you know some of the great work that people are doing. There's 3 people here in this room, or 3 groups of people in this room that have done tremendous things recently related to these. One is actually for this teaching pavilion. We haven't even started to fundraise for this yet. We already have a $5,000 pledge from Ann, who's right here. Yeah, so thanks so much, Ann, for starting off. That's wonderful. That's our first gift towards the pavilion, really exciting. For our leadership friends, for our 75th year, Janet and Bob over here, they have a matching challenge. So we're trying to inspire more people to be leadership friends. So they're helping us by providing a matching challenge for the first 10 new leadership friends, people that give us $750 a year or more each year. They're going to match that first $750 for everybody for the first 10 new leadership friends we get. So thanks so much to Janet and Bob. And then another part of our growing our education work, Dietrich and Julie, Dietrich's here, Julie's not, but the 2 of them have set up a donor advised fund at the Community Foundation. So over the last few years, they've built it up with gifts, and it's up to $100,000 that we can use that basically as like an endowment, so we can take off of each year to help support our education work. So that's a tremendous help to make our education work happen each year. So thanks so much to people. So these 3 wishes happen to be posted around the room as we're here mingling. One thing that we look to our community for is ideas and ways to make these things happen. So not everybody has the checkbook with the $1 million bank account that they can make all this stuff happen. But a lot of people have connections and ways to help. So a lot of people that help us say, oh, you know what, I have a friend who knows this person who might want to donate lumber to make your pavilion happen. Or people make things happen around here through their connections in the community. So if you have ideas for any of these 3 wishes that we have and how to help us to move them forward, while we're mingling here afterwards, head over to any of these 3 stations that our sanctuary committee will be stationed at, and just chat with them, write them up on the sheet, and let us know how you can help. Or just come talk to me whenever you want. Always happy to talk about that. Okay, those are our wishes. Remember to keep those in your head when we blow out candles. 4 year-long sponsors for the year. Just want to mention them. We're really grateful to the 4 of them to help in many ways with this year. The 4 of them have been a big help this year and continue to be. This is our staff, also not at Arcadia. This is an outing to Laughing Brook. We went on a retreat to Laughing Brook. This is most of our staff at Arcadia here. So from all of them, thank you all so much for coming today, for being a part of this celebration, and for all you've done to help us get to 75 years and to continue us moving forward beyond this point. What we're going to do now is, I'm going to stop talking, because birthday parties, you got to stop talking at some point, right? No more PowerPoint. And just mingle. We're going to have some piano music going in a little bit, just so hang out, chat with folks. There's also a wish-making station out there if you want to just make a little art. Did I already mention that? Anyway, yeah, go do that out there as well. We're going to have some snacks. We're going to do birthday cake in a little bit. Not quite yet, but we'll let you know when that's coming. Thanks so much. That's it. Thanks so much, everybody. Judy, the former director and still current supporter of Arcadia, and Ann, one of our volunteers, are going to be up there to do the important work. But everybody, all the kids up there can help blow out the candles too after we sing Happy Birthday, all right? Everybody ready to sing? Here we go. We're going to sing some Happy Birthday.